This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
We're back to the continuation of the segment from a few minutes ago. If you missed any, catch it on the Morning X podcast. This is the best of the Morning X on 99X.
This is Tammy Oldham Ashcraft. Tammy has a book out called Red Sky in the Morning. She and her fiancé, Richard Sharp, were on a sailing trip a few years ago. Were these waters shark-infested?
Well, there's sharks out there in the Pacific. Sure, I saw a number of sharks. And, in fact, I had to dive underneath the boat because my steering was started to go out. And there were sharks under the boat and lots of fish. And
so you saw people at some point? You saw boats?
Right. I saw 2 ships and 1 airplane. And I had, by the time I had seen the second ship, I'd found a number of flares. But nobody saw me. I couldn't get them to see me at all, even with shooting flares in the sky.
Did you find that you had stuff within you that you just never thought you had? And I don't mean physical. I mean,
that
emotional,
instinct.
spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah, the survival instinct is incredibly strong, and it definitely came out. And my spirit came to me as well. I mean, this voice that kept coming forward and getting me back on track mentally and keeping me going was really incredible too. I go into that a lot in my book, it really. At one point, I almost committed suicide. I was almost ready to take myself out because I just couldn't handle it anymore.
I was going to ask you, what day was your lowest low?
Well, I think that was probably it. In fact, that day,
I mean, number-wise, like how far into this?
It was pretty far into it. It was about day 38, I think. I mean, there was a lot of ups and downs. But,
why was that day worse than the others?
Well, because I had seen the 2 ships and 1 airplane, and nobody saw me. And I started mentally spiraling, going nuts, thinking that I was not really alive. That this was just I was a spirit on this boat, just drifting around. You know, it was why nobody could see me. I couldn't understand at that point.
Did you have any navigational equipment that was working at that point? I mean, how did you know you weren't just sailing around in a circle?
Well, I had what's called a sextant. All my electronics were completely ruined. All my navigational electronics was ruined, and my radios and everything. So I had what's called a sextant, an instrument that you can navigate by the sun and the stars with, and that's how I did it.
So you had this little rigged-up sail, and you made it all the way to Hawaii?
Right.
And where did you land?
Right to the entrance of Hilo Harbor on the main island of Hawaii.
And what did it feel like when it first came over the horizon and you saw that you were actually going to make it somewhere? I mean, what's going through your head at that point?
Oh, when I saw the island. Well, the first thing I did when I saw the island was I'd saved 1 beer. I ran down, got my beer, and had a cigar.
You saved 1 beer.
When you're out, we hear about people who are like out in the desert and they see mirages and they start seeing things. Did that happen to you at all? Did you start hallucinating and seeing things that weren't there?
Well, yeah, because a lot of times, when you see these islands on the distance, they look like clouds. And you really can't tell that they're an island until hours later when the clouds aren't dissipating. And that's what happened when I first saw the island. I thought it was clouds, and then by noon the clouds hadn't gone away, so I knew that was Hawaii. And I was, of course, I was just over elated with seeing it and knowing that I was so close.
And you didn't run out of food?
No, I was close. I was close to running out, but I was able to ration enough.
How long did it take you to come to the decision to write this book, to be able to face what had happened?
Well, it took me years. It took me 5 years to write the book, and the screenplay is also written. And then, and it took me 10 years really to I've never had a time in my life to be able to put it down, quite frankly, and it just finally had the opportunity to take some time to do it. It's a huge undertaking to write a book, and I thought I'd be done in a year, but it took me nearly 5 years.
Did you have to wait until this whole thing was over? I mean, what I was going to ask you is, you at some point had to mourn the loss of your fiancé.
Oh.
And I'm guessing that you may not have been able to do that on the boat because you were so, your instinct was survival, or did you do that while you were out there?
Well, I did. Yes, I grieved while I was out there, but you're right. The survival portion of just really kind of muted my grieving. And really when I started to really get into my grieving was when I got to shore and had to be around people again and see couples together and this kind of thing. It really elevated it. And then it took me years. I mean, I had nightmares and dreams about him for a long time, and it just took me years to get over it and even get into another relationship again.
How long did it take you before you went back out to sea or out sailing?
Oh, 6 months. I went to back to England. He was from England, and I went back and saw his family and told them what happened. And then I've got some things together here in the States, and then our boat was down in Tahiti, so I ended up going back down there to his boat and getting my things and continuing on.
How was your health?
Well, by then my health was fine.
No, I mean, I'm saying when you got to Hawaii.
Well, when I got to Hawaii, I actually looked pretty good. I had lost about 60 pounds. I was already very thin, but I lost like 50, 60 pounds when I'd gotten in, and I was healed. I had I had a major cut down to my bone in my leg, and that was the only thing that hadn't quite healed yet. But I butterflied my head back together, and I had all kinds of cuts from flying debris and glass. And those, after 41 days, those were all pretty much healed up.
Sounds like an amazing read, one of the types of books that you just can't put down.
It is, yeah, it has gotten incredible reviews, and I've written it in a flashback style so that it's easy reading and it's not dry reading. It's it's an adventure story.
I mean, the
thanks
fact
for telling us about
it.
it.
The fact that you didn't, do yourself in was how would you even do that out there?
Well, I had a rifle on board.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tammy Ashcraft, the book is Red Sky and Morning. It's in bookstores now. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
You're listening to the best of the Morning X. You can also catch it on the Morning X podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or at 99x.com.
The Sean Ryan Show presents Peak Points. Get timeless inspiration from the very best of The Sean Ryan Show.
September 11th happens. What is the first thing that went through your head?
September 12th, I'm going back in the military.
Talk about being recruited by the cartel. How do you cope? Just learning how to find a new normal.
One of the most tragic events in American firefighter history. You know what comes after.
You have this beautiful life. You have these horrible experiences, yes, but you can do something with them for the greater good.
The Sean Ryan Show Peak Points. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.